I stood outside the hospital ward, the plastic bag in my hand still warm with the congee she had asked for. 10 minutes ago, my pregnant wife texted me, craving rice porridge from across the street, please? Even though I was in a late-night executive meeting, I didn't hesitate. 7 months into her pregnancy, I'd watched her pale, wince, vomit, and groan for months. If she wanted porridge, she'd get porridge. I pushed open the door with a quiet, tired smile. And froze. There, on her hospital bed, my wife, Celeste, was curled up in the arms of a younger man. Her hospital gown rumpled, her hair spilling over the pillow, and her lips pressed against his, deeply, repeatedly, like she had forgotten she was carrying life inside her. His hand was on her belly. The congee slipped from my fingers. The lid popped off as it hit the tiles. Steam and soy-scented broth spread across the floor, a slow, mocking echo of the warmth that had brought me here. Celeste jerked upright, eyes wide with horror. Kieran? The man beside her didn't flinch. In fact, he smiled, calmly, casually, and slowly pulled his hand away from her stomach like he was finishing a scene from a movie. I stared. He couldn't have been older than 25, sharp jawline, lazy grin, hoodie half-zipped, the kind of man who still thought the world owed him attention. Kieran, Celeste whispered again, scrambling up on the bed, her swollen belly shifting beneath the sheets. You're back so soon. Clearly, I said quietly. The boy, Alec, finally looked at me. He wasn't afraid. If anything, he looked amused. Celeste reached for the bedside table, trying to adjust her gown and cover the red on her cheeks. It's not what it looks like. No? I cut in, still calm. Because it looks exactly like my pregnant wife letting another man kiss her. She choked on a response. I stepped closer. Alec didn't move. He just tilted his head, smug, like he was challenging me to make a scene. Leave, Celeste whispered to him, panic rising. Now, please. Alec gave a small shrug, then rose from the bed. As he passed me, he flashed a lazy smirk and said under his breath, "Nice to finally meet you, sir." I didn't respond. When the door clicked shut behind him, silence wrapped the room like gauze. Kieran, she pleaded, I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I'm emotional. I'm pregnant. I wasn't thinking. My gaze fell on her hands, how they trembled, not from remorse, from fear. Tell me, I said, voice cold, how far along are you, in weeks? She blinked, confused. 31 weeks? I nodded. Good. That means we can run a paternity test once the baby's born. Her face crumbled. You don't believe the baby is yours? I don't believe you, I said simply. Tears spilled from her eyes. Kieran, please. But I was already walking. At the door, I turned back briefly. Don't call me tonight. In fact, don't call me at all until you're ready to sign the paperwork. I left her sobbing behind me. In the corridor, nurses walked past, chatting about another delivery down the hall. Life continued. Joy bloomed for others. Not me. I stepped out into the cold night, lit a cigarette with shaking fingers, and watched the flame steady itself. Then I pulled out my phone and called my private investigator. Start digging, I said. His name's Alec. I want everything. Click. Smoke curled toward the moon. This wasn't just betrayal, this was war. I used to believe that love, true love, was built in years, not moments, that it wasn't the grand gestures that sustained a marriage, but the quiet, unnoticed ones. The toothbrush placed beside the sink, the second blanket unfolded at night, the texts that said, "Be safe." For 7 years, I built a life with Celeste brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice, and now, standing outside her hospital room, outside the room where I just watched her kiss a boy, I realized I had built that life alone. My name is Kieran Voss, CEO of Voss Corp, a private tech conglomerate known for never missing a quarterly target. I'm 34, methodical, calculated, and according to the press, emotionally impenetrable. Maybe they're right. Maybe that's why I didn't scream when I saw her lips on his. Maybe I didn't have emotions left to spend. But I wasn't always this man. I met Celeste when I was 27. She was 22, a literature major working part-time in the university cafe while I finished my MBA. I came in every day at 6:45 a.m. She thought it was for the coffee. It wasn't. She had this way of tucking her hair behind her ear while reading between customers. Her world was full of metaphors, mine was spreadsheets and logic. She said I looked lonely. I told her she looked like she belonged in a painting. We were opposites, but I needed someone to pull me away from strategy decks and investor briefings, and she needed someone to anchor her. After 2 years of dating, we got married in a small ceremony, just 40 guests, a coastal cliffside, and her favorite string quartet playing Clair de Lune. She wore a soft pearl dress. I wore the same watch I have on now. The first 2 years were warm, domestic. She decorated our apartment with books and pressed flowers. I worked long hours but made sure to be home for dinner. I didn't care if it was microwaved soup, as long as she sat beside me. When she said she wanted a child, I didn't hesitate. We tried for a year, nothing. Then another, still nothing. There were doctor visits, hormone injections, tears muffled in bathroom stalls. I held her through all of it. I was the one who researched clinics, booked appointments, paid off every test and treatment in full, without her even asking. Because I wanted the same thing she did, a family, a real one. When we finally got the news, pregnant, she cried in my arms like the world had come back to her. She changed after that. Not all at once, gradually, subtle. At first it was the fatigue, expected during pregnancy. Then came the nausea, the mood swings, the insomnia. She said she couldn't stand smells, couldn't eat much, couldn't sleep next to me because of the tossing. She spent more and more time in the guest room, said she needed silence, needed space. I gave it to her. I even had her doctor approve a private suite in one of the best OB wards. She said it helped her feel safer. What kind of man would I be if I didn't support her? Especially when things at the company got worse. Our Singapore acquisition stalled, investors were circling like vultures. My CTO resigned unexpectedly, and the board started asking questions about succession planning. I worked 16-hour days trying to keep the foundation from cracking. But every night, I still checked on her room first. I brought fruit bowls, I rubbed her feet when she let me. I even learned to cook bland congee because that's all she wanted in her second trimester. Yet the distance grew. She stopped initiating conversations, her smile thinned, she flinched when I touched her belly. One night I leaned in to kiss her forehead and she pulled back like I was made of glass shards. "Don't," she whispered. "I'm not in the mood." That's when I first felt the cold. Still, I convinced myself it was hormones, fear. She had always been sensitive. She cried watching shampoo ads. Maybe the pregnancy made her retreat inward. That's what the baby books said, didn't they? Then came the hospital stays. She insisted she needed constant observation, said her blood pressure was unstable, that she couldn't risk anything happening to the baby. At first, I resisted, but she looked so scared, her hands gripping mine, voice trembling. I gave in. I moved her into the hospital 2 months before her due date, and then, she was gone. Physically present, emotionally erased. She rarely picked up my calls. When I came to visit, she was always resting or under observation. Nurses said she preferred to be left alone. The hospital became a second home for her. For me, it became a symbol of absence. Yet I still brought food. Still cancelled meetings just to sit with her in silence. Because I loved her. Because I believed, despite everything, that we were in this together. Until tonight. Until I opened that door and saw her lips on a stranger's. That single image rewrote 7 years of memories. It told me that while I was fighting to build our life, she was giving away pieces of it in dimly lit hospital rooms. And the worst part? She looked happy. Comfortable. Safe in his arms. Like I'd never existed. I'm back in the present now, standing beneath the dim light of the hospital corridor, staring through the glass window into her room. She's alone now, curled on her side like a child pretending sleep will fix everything. I don't see the woman I married. I see a woman I don't know at all. 3 days passed since I saw my wife kiss another man while carrying our child. 3 days of silence. 3 days of ignoring her texts, her voicemails, the food she sent to the office that I left untouched on the break room table. The nights I used to spend at her side, I now spent at the office, half buried in merger documents, half staring out the rain-slicked windows, waiting for the truth I had paid someone to bring me. It came on a Thursday morning, hand-delivered in a sealed gray folder by my private investigator. I opened it with surgical calm. The first page was basic. Name, Alec Rains, age, 25, University, Midwood State, Marketing, 2.7 GPA, current position, intern, Human Resources, Voss Corp. Nothing special, the kind of profile I wouldn't have glanced at twice. The second page changed everything. Photos. From 2 years ago, Alec posing beside a Mercedes with plates registered to a woman in her 50s, reported stolen 6 months later. Another, Alec grinning with 3 different women across 3 campuses, a record of complaints filed by 2 of them, online loan statements under pseudonyms, Reddit threads calling him a scammer, fraud, catfishing, emotional manipulation, all of it buried just deep enough to pass a surface check, but not deep enough to pass mine. I flipped to the back. Final page, referred into Voss Corp by Celeste Voss, application bypassed screening, signed and fast-tracked by Celeste under executive override. No board review. My blood turned to ice. She hadn't just met him. She hired him. Brought him into my company. Into my system. Into the one place I should have been safe from this. There were photos from the hospital too. Blurry shots at first, Alec arriving in the evening, flowers in hand. Then clearer, him leaning against the lounge sofa, arms around her waist. Her laughing. His hand on her thigh. A kiss just inches from her stomach. A short video of him kissing her neck while she whispered something into his ear. I had to stop the footage midway. My fist clenched hard enough to make the leather armrest groan under my grip. A knock on my office door broke the silence. Mr. Voss? It was Darren, the HR director. You asked for me. Bring me Naomi Kent, I said evenly. And fire Alec Rains, immediately. Yes sir, but, Mrs. Voss signed his contract. I'll need board level, you have it, effective now, and from this point on, my wife is no longer authorized to approve or override anything, strip her access. Darren blinked. Yes, sir. And transfer all her department responsibilities to you, no debate. He nodded and left quickly, probably grateful for the sudden promotion, or terrified by the storm in my voice. 20 minutes later, Celeste arrived. She stormed into my office, cheeks flushed, mascara smudged like she hadn't slept. Kieran, she gasped, why did you fire Alec? I didn't say anything, just picked up the folder and slid it across the table. She didn't move. Go on, I said. You wanted to see me, look. Her fingers trembled as she flipped through the pages. The first few, she skimmed. Then she reached the hospital photos. Her face drained of all color. You had me followed? No, I said, voice sharp as glass. I had him followed. Her mouth opened, then shut, then opened again. Kieran, I swear it's not what it looks like. Which part? I leaned forward. The part where you lie in his lap while carrying our child? Or the part where you kissed him next to a prenatal monitor? She looked like she might collapse. I stood up slowly. You personally approved his hiring, I said, used your position to insert him into my company, while pretending to be sick, while saying you were too unwell to come home, too tired to talk, too fragile to be touched. She took a step forward, hand resting on her swollen belly. I didn't mean for it to happen. Didn't mean? My voice cracked. You orchestrated it, you gave him a job, a badge, you fed me excuses while he fed you God knows what behind hospital curtains. Tears spilled freely down her cheeks now. Please. I was confused. It was hormones. I was alone. No, I snapped. You were with him, not alone, not confused, just selfish. She tried to reach me. I stepped back. Don't, I said coldly. Don't touch me. Don't touch anything in this room. From now on, you don't set foot in this building. Kieran, her voice cracked. I grabbed the last paper from the folder, the hospital visitation logs. He had visited her 23 times in 30 days, every day after 6 p.m., every day I thought she was resting. I held it up for her. This, I said, this is the proof of your betrayal. She sank to her knees. It didn't go that far, she sobbed. We didn't sleep together. I swear, Kieran, I swear on the baby's life, don't you dare bring the child into this. She sobbed harder. I stared at her, not with love, not with pity, with calculation. With the gaze of a man ready to burn everything to the ground. "We'll do a paternity test the moment he's born," I said. "Kieran? But I'll tell you this," I continued, voice dropping low. "If that child isn't mine—" She looked up, eyes wild. "You'll wish you were never born." I didn't go home after that confrontation. I didn't answer her calls, didn't reply to her messages, didn't open the flood of voice notes that followed. Each one started the same. "Kieran, please." Each one ended the same. Silence. For the first time in our marriage, I ignored the woman who once called me her world. I slept on the leather sofa in my office, if I slept at all. The curtains stayed shut. The light from my phone illuminated everything I needed: bank statements, surveillance timestamps, visitor logs, medical records, digital forensics. I wasn't just hurting, I was preparing. Sunday, 2:34 a.m. Alec Raines's entire life unfolded in front of me like a rotten script. The private investigator had pulled everything: student loan defaults, multiple online usernames flagged in dating scams, a registered complaint from a woman he had lived with, then ghosted, after draining her account, alias payments made to loan sharks via crypto apps, a buried campus incident from 2 years ago, accusations of coercion, later dropped. I stared at his smug face on the dossier's cover. This was the man she let touch her stomach, the man she smiled at while lying to me. I placed a call. "Jonas," I said, "I want him bugged. Phone, cloud, messages, all of it." My old contact in cyber forensics didn't even blink. "You want to monitor in real time?" "Yes." "Even if he deletes it?" "I want the deletions especially." Monday, 10:07 a.m. My phone buzzed. New message captured. "Alex Celeste, miss me already? Last night was intense, can't wait to see that pretty little belly again." He still doesn't suspect anything, right? I stared at the screen. Something inside me burned, but not like fire, like dry ice, silent, suffocating. The next message came at noon. "Celeste, Alec. Please don't message me like that anymore. He knows, he followed you." "I'm scared, Alec. You don't understand what Kieran's capable of. He hasn't come home, I haven't slept. I think he's planning something." She was right, I was. Flashbacks haunted me while I worked. Not the betrayal, the moments before it. Celeste, 5 months pregnant, resting her head on my chest. "You're my everything, Kieran. You always were." Celeste, sitting by the fireplace the night I signed the deal that saved my company. "I'm so proud of you, I feel safe with you." Celeste, whispering into the darkness when I held her after the 3rd failed IVF. "Don't leave me, I'd fall apart." Every line a lie now, every whispered "I love you," poison wrapped in silk. Wednesday, 8:14 p.m. I sat in the back of my car in the driveway. The mansion was dark, the windows flickering faintly from television light. She was still awake. I hadn't been home in nearly a week. I considered going in, then didn't. Instead, I opened the latest chat log from Alec's phone. "She's pathetic now," he wrote to a friend. "Keeps begging me to be careful. Should have thought of that before pulling me into her mess. She's lucky the kid's not mine." He ended the message with a gif of a crying baby. I didn't blink, just whispered to no one. "Keep talking, you little leech, I'm almost done building your coffin." The maid quit 2 days later, said Mrs. Voss had become unbearable, said she threw a teacup when she was told I wasn't coming back that night. I sent her severance and a month's extra pay. Then sat in silence, staring at the baby crib catalog Celeste had bookmarked on her laptop. We were going to name him Elian, it was her choice, said it meant God has answered. Friday night, 11:48 p.m. I came home, not for her, for the file I kept in my home office, board-level audit documents I needed to prepare for a Monday restructuring. The house was eerily quiet, like it too was ashamed. Then I heard it. Soft crying, muffled. A kind of helpless, breathless sob I'd only ever heard once, from her, when she miscarried 2 years ago. I walked past the staircase, turned the corner, and saw her. Celeste. On the floor near the kitchen island, one hand clutching her abdomen, the other stretched out weakly toward the fridge. Her face was pale, sweat matted her hair, her lips trembled, but she couldn't form words. I froze. She looked up. "Kieran," she rasped, I need help." I didn't move. She swayed, reached again. Then collapsed sideways, belly hitting the tile with a dull thump. I waited. Counted 5 seconds. 10, then 20. Still no motion. I stepped forward and finally called for a nurse, calmly, emotionlessly. I gave the ambulance exact directions and placed a call to the hospital in advance. But I didn't comfort her. Didn't hold her. Didn't touch her. I simply stood above her as she whimpered in pain. When the paramedics wheeled her out, one of them looked at me and asked, "You're the husband?" I nodded once, but I didn't say a word. Back inside, I opened her phone and connected it to my laptop while she lay unconscious in the back of an emergency van. I wanted every last message, every secret, every lie. She risked her health. She risked her child. She risked me. All. For a boy toy with a fake smile and dirty hands. That night, sitting alone in the dim study, I whispered aloud, more to myself than anyone else. She risked our child, for a boy toy. And I wasn't going to let her forget it. The internet is a strange place. It can worship you in the morning and destroy you before midnight. On Monday, Alec Rains was just another nobody intern with a plastic badge and a stolen smile. By Tuesday night, he was a trending topic. Rain scam, #predator. Intern, stay away from Alec. I made sure of it. It started with an anonymous email blast. I sent it to 6 mid-tier digital gossip pages and 2 legacy media outlets desperate for clickbait. Attached, the full dossier from my investigator, screenshots of Alec's coercive texts from college, a list of verified usernames he used on dating apps to defraud women, a short video clip. Alec and Celeste in the hospital lounge, his lips pressed against her shoulder while her hospital gown slid lower than it should. The footage was blurred, barely, just enough to avoid legal blowback, not enough to protect their dignity. The media swallowed it whole. By morning, the headline screamed, "Intern seduces pregnant CEO's wife during hospital stay. Alec Rains, scam artist or victim of love. Exposed, the young man who broke a billionaire's family." I didn't need to sign my name. The internet was doing the punishment for me. Within 24 hours, Alec was doxxed, his home address, college records, family photos, even a LinkedIn post from 2 years ago claiming he was an honest man looking to empower women in tech, all dragged into the mud. An old classmate posted, "He borrowed money from me, said it was for his sister's surgery. I never saw it again. His sister doesn't exist." Another wrote, "He ghosted me after 2 months. I later found out he was dating 2 of my friends at the same time. Same script, same lies." A third. "He bragged once that he could sleep his way to the top. I didn't think he meant through a maternity ward." By Wednesday evening, Celeste showed up at my office. Her face was pale, no makeup, hair unbrushed. She looked 10 years older than the woman who once swore she'd age beside me. "Please," she whispered the moment the door closed. "Kieran, please stop. Don't ruin him." I didn't look up from the files on my desk. "Ruin who?" "Alec. This is going too far. They've found his parents, his little sister. People are threatening them online, posting pictures, calling their jobs." I shut the folder with a quiet snap. "You mean the same Alec who kissed you while you carried my child? Who called me a pathetic husband in his texts?" Her hands trembled. "This is my fault," she whispered. "Not his. If you want to punish someone, punish me." I stood slowly, then I slapped her. Hard. Her face snapped sideways, she gasped, holding her cheek. "You're still defending him?" I said, voice low, shaking with fury. "After everything? After he humiliated you, me, this family? After he called you a toy and laughed behind your back?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't know he said that." "No," I growled. "You didn't want to know. You wanted to believe he was yours, that he cared." I pulled a manila envelope from my drawer and tossed it on the desk. "Go ahead, read it." She opened it with shaking fingers. Inside, printed screenshots, chat logs, Alec's messages to another woman, dated 2 weeks before I caught them in the hospital. "She's boring now, all she does is cry about her husband. Might ditch her soon, she's not worth the drama." Celeste stared at the pages, her lips parted in silent horror. I stepped forward. "This is the man you begged me to protect." She sobbed quietly. I didn't know." I grabbed her wrist and yanked her closer. I warned you, Celeste. I told you what would happen if the child wasn't mine. Be grateful the DNA test cleared that. I am grateful, she whispered. Please, just stop this. You've made your point. Have I? I hissed. Because I don't think either of you has felt a fraction of what I felt watching you curl into him like he was your savior. She fell to her knees. Then punish me, just me, let him go. I stared down at her. You'd take his pain for him? I asked. She nodded. I laughed bitterly. You really do deserve each other. Later that night, Alex sent me a text. I'd left the spyware running. I watched him type it out live on my screen before it hit my phone. You're just pissed you couldn't keep your woman satisfied. She wanted me because I gave her what you couldn't. Keep playing God, old man. Let's see who breaks first. I didn't respond. I forwarded the text to my lawyer and attached screenshots. It was raining when he showed up. Security buzzed my line twice, said a man was causing a scene in the lobby. I told them to let him through. Let him come, let him see what a grave mistake he made stepping into my world. Alec Rains burst into my office soaked and shaking, water dripping from his hoodie, blood dried under his nose, a bandage crooked over his temple. The look in his eyes was no longer smug, it was desperate. You, he growled, slamming the door shut behind him. You ruined my life. I didn't look up from my desk. No, I said. You did that yourself. I just held up the mirror. He charged. Big mistake. He barely made it 2 steps before my fist collided with his jaw. He stumbled, crashing into the glass table beside the sofa. You think you're a man? I snarled, walking over to him. You seduced a pregnant woman and mocked her husband. That's not ambition. That's trash behavior from a sewer rat. Fuck you! He lunged again, but slower this time. I grabbed him by the collar and slammed him back into the wall. You crossed the wrong man, I whispered, my knuckles pressing into his chest like daggers. You stepped into my house, my company, and thought you could walk away untouched. He gasped. I didn't think she'd tell you. She didn't, I said calmly. I found out. That's the difference between you and me. You react, I plan. He tried to swing again. I ducked, slammed a punch into his gut, watched him crumple to the floor. You're finished, Alec. You're broke, evicted, blacklisted, doxxed, and every woman who's ever met you now hates you, and you want to fight me? He coughed blood onto the marble tile. Just then, my phone rang. Dr. Patel. I picked up without breaking eye contact. Mr. Voss, the doctor said. Your wife was just rushed into emergency surgery, massive bleeding, placental abruption. I stared at the shattered mess of Alec on my flute. Is she alive? She's stable for now, but we can't promise anything. We're prepping the OR. I'd advise you come immediately. I'll be there, I said, and hung up. I turned back to Alec. Looks like she might die tonight. His eyes widened. What? She was under stress, probably worried about your little career spiral, I said coldly, grabbing my coat. But don't worry, if she lives, she'll still have nothing. I didn't rush. I walked. By the time I arrived at the hospital, Celeste was already in surgery. I waited outside the operating room in silence, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the blood-stained curtain they pulled shut when she was wheeled in. Nurses whispered, glancing at me with curiosity or fear. I didn't care. I didn't ask for updates. I didn't pace. She had made her choices. An hour passed, then 2. Finally, the door opened. A nurse stepped out. She's alive, she said. We managed to stop the bleeding. The baby's born, a boy. I exhaled, not relief, just necessity. Where is he? She pointed me to the nursery. I stared at the child through the glass, small, wrinkled, quiet. I pressed a single hand to the glass, just long enough to whisper, let's find out who you really belong to. 3 days later, I returned to the hospital. In my hand, a sealed envelope. The paternity test. I opened the door to Celeste's room slowly. She was sitting up now, weak but conscious, the baby cradled in her arms. When she saw me, her eyes welled. Kieran, she whispered. I walked to the bed and dropped the envelope onto her lap. She stared at it, lips trembling. I spoke first. He's mine. Tears broke down her cheeks in quiet sobs. "I told you," she whispered. "I told you he was yours." I held up a hand. "I didn't come here to discuss genetics." She looked up, blinking rapidly. "I came here to tell you that the moment you're discharged, we're filing for divorce." Her mouth fell open. "No. No, please." "You'll never take the child," I said coldly. "He carries my name, my blood, and one day, he'll carry my empire. You'll be a footnote in his birth certificate. Kieran, please, don't do this now." "Now?" I laughed bitterly. "You think I owe you a better time?" "I made a mistake," she cried. "I broke something, but we can fix it. I'll be better. I'll prove it. Just don't take him from me." "You took everything from me," I said, my voice like stone, "and I won't let you raise him with your weakness. He deserves better." She clutched the baby tighter. "I won't sign anything." I turned. "You will." 1 week later, she didn't sign. Instead, she showed up at my company building, uninvited, holding the child in her arms, sobbing in front of the reception desk, begging security to let her up. Crowds gathered, phones came out, some employees tried to comfort her. She cried, "Please, I want to see my husband. I'm still his wife. He can't just throw me out." I stood at the window of my office, looking down at her like a stranger on the street. She held the baby close like a shield, her eyes searched the windows as if hoping I'd appear. I didn't. Instead, I opened my laptop, clicked the pre-uploaded file, and hit publish. The video went live within minutes. It was just under 30 seconds. Celeste, Alec, hospital lounge, kissing, whispering, her hand over his, date stamped, timed, blurred, yes, but unmistakably her. The internet didn't need clear pixels to recognize betrayal. Comment section. "Isn't that the Voss Corp CEO's wife? Pregnant and cheating? That's sick. Poor guy, can't imagine how humiliated he must feel." My phone buzzed. "Celeste. Why would you post that? Why would you do this to me?" I replied instantly. "This is just the beginning. Next time, I won't blur your face." Then I blocked her. The fallout spread like wildfire. Clients, shareholders, employees, they all knew, but no one dared speak it aloud. Because they saw what happened when someone crossed me, because they saw what it meant to betray a Voss, and because I was just getting started. It was over, at least for me, but not for him, not for Alec Rains. Not when his name was poison in every online forum, not when recruiters flagged his resume before reading it. Not when every woman he ever manipulated joined a group chat dedicated to exposing his lies. And yet, he still hadn't learned. It took his father being admitted to the ICU for the first call to come. Friday, 9:27 a.m. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Kieran?" The voice on the other end cracked like a bone breaking. Please stop, I'm begging you." I didn't reply. "It's Alec," he whispered. "My father's in critical condition, stress-induced heart failure, the harassment, the pressure, it pushed him over the edge." Still, I said nothing. "I know what I did," Alec continued. "I ruined your life, took something that wasn't mine, but my father is innocent. He doesn't deserve this." I leaned back in my chair, gazing out the window. "Karma doesn't care about innocence," I said. Alec was silent. Then, "Please, I'll do anything. I'll leave the country. I'll never speak to her again." "No," I interrupted. "Not good enough." "Then what?" he whispered. "What do you want from me?" I answered without hesitation. "A confession." "What? You want me to stop? You want your father to get treated in peace?" I said slowly. "Then tell the world what you did, admit it, on video, name her, name yourself, say you seduced a married, pregnant woman while working under her husband." He choked. "That'll destroy her." "It already did," I snapped. "You both did." Silence, then finally. "If I do that, will you stop?" I stared out the window. "Yes," I said, "but make it public, let the world see what betrayal looks like." Then I hung up. Saturday, 6:52 p.m., the video dropped. No music, no edits, just a shaky handheld recording of Alec Rains, face pale, eyes red. "My name is Alec Rains," he began. I seduced a married woman, Celeste Voss, during her pregnancy. I worked at Voss Corp under her husband, Kieran Voss. I knew who she was. I pursued her anyway. I manipulated her, lied to others, and now, I'm paying the price. He ended it with a quiet, I don't expect forgiveness. I just want my family left alone. The internet exploded. If the blurred footage was a spark, this was a gasoline-soaked confession. Even those who once pitied Celeste now turned on her with venom. So it was her, pregnant and cheating, disgusting. Imagine your baby growing up and seeing this. Poor Kieran. That woman played him while carrying his child. Celeste saw it an hour later. She collapsed in her bedroom. The nanny found her on the floor, phone clutched in her hand, sobbing so violently she couldn't breathe. She was rushed to the hospital, again. They sedated her this time. Her body was fine, her mind, less so. I didn't visit until the next morning. She was awake when I walked in. Eyes hollow, lips dry, hands trembling. "Kieran?" she rasped. "Why?" "You wanted the truth, didn't you?" I said, standing at the foot of her bed. "That video." She swallowed. "You made him say those things." "No," I said. "I gave him a choice, confess or watch his father die without treatment. He chose the confession." She broke. Tears spilled again. "Please, please stop. I can't take it anymore. I'm losing everything." "You already lost it," I said coldly, "the day you let another man touch what was ours." She closed her eyes. "I never stopped loving you," she whispered. "Even when I was with him. I was confused, weak, but I never stopped. I didn't move." She looked at me, broken. "Please, for the child, don't take him from me." I shook my head. "You betrayed this family," I said. "Now you have nothing." Then I turned and walked out. She didn't call after me this time. 2 days later. Alec tried to leave the city. He packed what little he had into a borrowed duffel bag, booked a one-way train ticket, and kept his head down. But shame has a way of following you. Someone recognized him at the station, posted his photo online. "Look who's trying to run." He was detained at the gate by angry strangers demanding apologies for women they'd never met. He managed to escape. But what happened next, no one expected. Wednesday, 8:33 p.m. Celeste showed up at the motel Alec was hiding in. No one knows how she found him. What we do know is what the police found afterward: blood, a fruit knife, 2 bodies. She had stabbed him first, shoulder, ribs, thigh, then herself, once, deep, directly over the heart. When the police broke the door, Alec was screaming in pain. She wasn't screaming at all. Thursday morning, I received the call from the hospital. They said Alec survived, Celeste didn't. She left no note, only one unsent message on her phone. "I'm sorry, I love you." I stared at it for a long time, then deleted it. Later that night, I sat alone in the nursery. Ilian was asleep in his crib, fingers curled, chest rising and falling with that fragile rhythm only newborns have. I stared at him through the bars of the crib like a man looking at a future he wasn't sure he deserved. He looked like me, but softer, undefiled, unaware of the wreckage left in his wake. I lit a cigarette beside the window. The night outside was quiet, no sirens, no crying, just the ticking of the wall clock and the slow exhale of smoke curling toward the ceiling. I took one last drag and whispered to the darkness, "Betrayal is betrayal. There's no forgiveness. Only punishment."